The next gear topic I want to approach is the two-piece dry suit combination. And I'm not talking specifically about the coquetette version that zips around the waist and then has the little knob to tighten it up, but rather a true two-piece system where you have a separate bottom and a separate top that mate together independently. There are some advantages and certainly disadvantages of the system. I happen to have a system where I use 3 different tops and 2 different bottoms that allow me a little more versatility with my dry wear, but still offer me the protection I need. I want to be clear that a one-piece dry suit is going to offer the absolute best protection and minimize the risk of water getting in, as we have no chance of water getting in between the combination where the bottom and the top meet, only wrists and neck. In the biggest conditions I'll paddle and or I'm coaching, I'm going to wear my one-piece dry suits without question. There is some versatility and some flexibility that I do get from having a two-piece system, and I'll mix and match based on what I'm doing for the day or where I'm paddling. So I have 2 separate tops of the 3 tops I own here. This one is a short sleeve and neoprene semi-dry top. So it's not going to hold a lot of water out, especially being a little bit stretched over here. But it's nice to offer me some protection. I can roll in it, get minimal water inside. It works really well on hot days for me being able to stand in the water and coach. And still, again, some protection from cold water shock and keeping me a bit warm. The second top I have is a full dry top. This one has the latex gaskets around the wrist. It's got a latex neck gasket just like my dry suit, the full one-piece dry suit, and it works really well. The third top I have that is not present is a semi-dry top where it does have latex gaskets and a semi-dry neck. Again, a good middle-of-the-road option for me depending on where I am. And one of the reasons I like the two-piece option, aside from versatility when I'm coaching or in warmer conditions, it does allow me, if I'm on a long multi-day paddle, to swap out the tops based on where we are. I will stay pretty darn dry, even doing a whole lot of rescue practice, if I get everything dialed in right and the top and bottom connected properly with the full dry top and the dry bottoms I'm wearing. On days then when we're just on a cruise and it's completely flat water and the sun's out, I might switch over to the semi-dry shorty. Again, meaning I have a couple of different options as I'm paddling for multiple days. So I'm not either cooking or sweating as much as I might otherwise, yet I still have the option to stay perfectly dry. In discussing the two systems, there are a couple of different options for them. One is the dry pants. These are typically pants. The other for the bottoms is a dry bib. And I want to go through a couple of the differences between them, and it does matter which you get. It also determines how well they seal. So the dry pants are just what that is. This is a Tempest dry pants set from NRS. Relief zipper, pocket zipper works really well. The distinct advantage here, or noticeable feature, is that it has the waist with the elastic closure on it that allows me to cinch this tight against me. And then there's the extra material up here with the suspenders on the top that the inner layer of the dry top will mate to make a watertight barrier. The big advantage here is I can snug these up against me really well, that even if I have just the bib on, some water could get in, obviously, but because it's sitting tight, it's not going to fill in rapidly. The disadvantage, however, is the way the systems mate. This is designed to have the layer from the dry top rest up against this, and it be cinched tight to this, and then shoved down inside this elastic waistband, and then the elastic tightened over it, and then we can put our skirt on. Because it's just one panel of material on top of the other panel of material, even relatively well sealed, there's definitely a good chance water is going to get into this. So works really well for me on warm water days, or I'm paddling in warmer water, or I don't expect to be upside down and I just want at least some layer of protection if I did come out of my kayak. I don't honestly wear these very much. But again, I have them because they do have some value for me. It is not ideally what I would recommend for the average person. My preferred system and the system I prefer to recommend are going to be a set of dry bibs. These are also from NRS. These are their Gore-Tex Pro bibs. So suspenders on the top as well. Relief zipper, pocket zipper. You'll notice the extra material in this case is over the top instead of inside. There is also no waist cinch. It is just an old-fashioned pair of, let's say, hip waders, right? So without a top on this, if I end up too deep in the water, it's definitely going to fill. Again, the advantage though is it's not meant to be worn separately. This large layer of material, this overt layer, is actually designed to roll with the bottom layer of the dry top, and it rolls up like a dry bag will. You get 3 or 4 good flat rolls in there. It's going to be damp inside, but it's not going to let much water inside the 2 layers. So if you do spend a little bit of time in the water, it's going to work really well. I have been in some bigger conditions. If I get it right, it's perfectly dry. I have not gotten it right. I have gotten wet. So there's again one of those caveats that how well a 2-piece system works depends on how well you put it on. So I'll go through and put these on, show you what it's designed to look like, how they roll together, and how I secure the system. So first up, this is the pair of Tempest Drypants I have. It's actually a pretty snug fit, even without the upper layer over my shoulders and the suspenders. It's not going anywhere and I have it loose. So it's pretty snug on me right now. And obviously if you have more base layers, it's going to fit a nice bit snugger. I can then take these and really cinch this up. And that is nice and tight. So there is only a limited amount of water that could get in. It's certainly not going to fill with water very quickly. But there is still a good possibility that water gets in because of the way these things are designed. Throwing the shoulder straps up, and I can obviously tighten them down. This is the upper panel, so that the bottom panel of the dry top, losing my gear here, is actually just going to cinch tight against this and be tucked inside this band. And that is the only layer of protection I actually have between the two. So for cases where I really expect I could come out of my kayak, I'm probably not going to wear this. This is great for me if we're sitting down or having just flat water paddles, and I'm probably not even getting wet most of the day, but I can still walk around and keep myself dry if the water's cold. On warmer water days, it's just a little more comfortable for me than wearing a wetsuit because I don't like the feeling of being in a wet suit that is wet, even just from the waist down all day. It works really well from coaching for me because I can stay pretty dry that the water level has to come up pretty high before I start to feel like I'm going to get any water in. And then maybe with the top, I'm going to stay reasonably dry, if not no more than really just damp or basically a bit wet. So this is that system. And again, all this is going to do is pull down, cinch, and get shoved in here. The dry bottoms I prefer to recommend, and most of the time I'm in myself, are going to be the bibs. So as you can see, even with this cinched up on my shoulders with the suspenders, there is nothing holding this against my waist. There's this large void. Literally, if I just submerged in the water, this would fill and balloon up, worse than if I didn't have a relief zip zipped at all when I got in the water. So big disadvantage there. The positive design though is that how it's meant to work, and rolling this layer to the bottom of a dry top makes it quite secure, far more secure than having it cinched around my waist and just tucked in with the layers overlapping. So in order to pair the top and bottom together, once we have them both on, we're going to make sure that this outer layer on the dry bib is pulled all the way down. We're going to take this nice inner layer here from underneath the dry top, and we're going to pull it all the way down and snug it nice and tight. That'll help minimize any water that does get in the foliage from getting up inside. I will take the extra material and usually just shove it up underneath so it's out of my way. And then we're going to act like we have a dry bag on, and we're going to roll the two layers together and making sure we get it good and rolled all the way around. And I'm going to do this at least 3 times, and I'm going to keep it relatively flat if I can. That's 2. That's 3. At this point, what I'll do to make sure this stays really snug and sealed here, I will now put my skirt on and then pull my, so that this is now compressed underneath the skirt. Once that's done, I'm going to pull the overlayer on the waist down, which again can work even if you don't have the skirt on. And I'm going to snug this down. Again, this is not going to be as dry as a one-piece unit, but it's going to be pretty hard, especially if I've got the skirt on top of this with one more layer, to get any water inside. I have been in the water quite a bit doing demo practices, standing above waist deep for either rescue or roll practice or bracing practice with students, and I have not had any water inside the combination. So good option for you, but again, the key is to making sure it is rolled well, and that's what's going to do the best for keeping you dry. Make a mistake and not roll it well enough, not cinch things well enough, there's where the problems are going to come in. The other thing I want to note, and people also have asked about whether that roll gets in the way, it's rolled right here through me. So it's right above my waist, so I don't feel it on my hips. I don't feel it when I'm sitting in the kayak. It doesn't bother me anymore than a skirt or anything else. I really don't even realize I have it on or that I'm wearing a 2-piece unit until I go to take it off at the end of the day. So if you are struggling to find a full dry suit that you can afford or that fits you right, or you just want a little bit more versatility when you don't plan on spending time in the water but want to maintain that layer of immersion gear, going with a 2-piece combination really does work well.